You don't need to decode mixed signals when a man's truly into you, because his behavior will speak louder than any words he could say. He might try to play it cool, stay composed, or hide how much he cares, but love has a way of slipping through. It shows up in the smallest glances, the nervous smiles, the way he remembers the little things you thought he forgot. Real attraction isn't loud, it's revealing. And today we're going to uncover 7 flirty behaviors men simply can't hide when their heart is already in it, even if their words haven't caught up yet. When a man is genuinely into you, there is a subtle but profound shift in where his attention lands. At first it might seem like he's noticing the obvious: how you dress, what job you do, your hobbies, the way you carry yourself in a room. But over time, when the connection deepens, his focus changes. It moves from what you do to who you are. This shift is not dramatic. It doesn't arrive with big declarations, but if you're paying attention, it's unmistakable. He begins to listen differently. It's no longer just about collecting facts about your life, what university you went to, how many siblings you have, what kind of coffee you drink. He listens for the reasons behind those facts. Why did you choose that major? What did your childhood teach you about connection? What makes you feel safe or seen or loved? These are not the kinds of questions a man asks out of politeness. These are questions born from emotional investment. You'll notice it in how he remembers things. Not just the surface level information, but the details that most people overlook. The way your voice softens when you talk about your grandmother. The hesitation in your tone when you mention past heartbreak. The spark in your eyes when you describe something you're passionate about. These aren't things you explicitly ask someone to remember. But when a man is drawn to the core of who you are, he collects those pieces like a puzzle he actually wants to solve. Not to fix you, but to understand you. This kind of attention is quiet and respectful. It doesn't demand, it doesn't invade. It observes, reflects, and values. He's not trying to fit you into his life like a puzzle piece. He's trying to learn the shape of your soul. What excites you? What frightens you? What brings you alive? His curiosity becomes less about gathering facts and more about holding space for your full self to be seen. The shift also shows up in how he supports you. When a man is only interested in what you do, he cheers for your wins from a distance. But when he's interested in who you are, he becomes a companion in your growth. He encourages you not just to succeed, but to stay aligned with your values. He cares about how you feel about your success, not just that you're achieving it. He doesn't just want you to be impressive. He wants you to be at peace. You might find him asking questions you've never been asked before. Questions like, what matters most to you when no one's watching? Or, what do you need when you're overwhelmed? These aren't pickup lines. They're doorways to intimacy. They're the result of him shifting from curiosity to care. When this kind of attention is real, you'll feel it, not in grand gestures, but in the feeling of being seen. He won't just notice your laughter, he'll notice what makes you laugh. He won't just praise your strength, he'll also make space for your softness. And he won't try to change you. Because once a man connects with who you are, not just what you do, the relationship becomes less about control and more about co-creation. This is the kind of attention that doesn't fade when the excitement wears off. It's rooted in respect. And respect is the soil where real love grows. When a man is truly into you, his vulnerability doesn't show up in the moments he plans. It leaks out in the small, unscripted spaces. Those in-between moments when he forgets to put his guard up. He may not even realize it's happening, but if you're paying attention, you'll catch it. Vulnerability is not always dramatic. It's not always a tearful confession or a deep emotional outpouring. Often, it's a passing comment, a subtle expression, a pause before he says something real. And it's in those moments that you get to see a version of him that few people ever do. You might be having a casual conversation when something shifts in his tone. He brings up something from his past, not for sympathy or approval, but because in that moment, he feels safe enough to say it. Maybe he mentions a time he felt like he wasn't enough, or a moment he failed and still thinks about. He might share a story that sounds simple on the surface, but beneath it, there's emotion. There's a desire to be understood, not just heard. These moments don't come with announcements. He won't say, I'm about to be vulnerable now. In fact, sometimes he might even laugh it off or change the subject quickly, as if realizing he let something slip. But those glimpses are gold. They're signs that you matter to him in a way that makes him want to be known, not just liked. You'll see it in his body language, too. Maybe he relaxes around you in a way he doesn't around others. He stops performing, stops trying to be impressive. He lets the silence hang a little longer. He doesn't fill every space with charm or cleverness. Because when a man feels emotionally drawn to someone, he starts to drop the armor. Not all at once, but piece by piece. But that moment when he shares a fear, when he opens up about his father, when he admits he's been hurt before and it changed him, that's not just information, that's access. He's giving you a window into his world because something in you made it feel safe. These small moments are sacred. They build the foundation for deeper intimacy, not just attraction. Because physical chemistry might ignite a relationship, but emotional transparency sustains it. When a man allows himself to be vulnerable around you, especially in those unscripted, off-guard moments, he's telling you, without ever saying it, that he wants to be seen, that he trusts you with the truth of him. And that, more than any grand gesture, is how you know his heart is already on the line. A powerful signal that his connection to you goes beyond attraction. He's not just admiring you, he's feeling with you. You can sense it in how he looks at you when you're not talking. He watches your reactions, not to judge them, but to understand them. He notices when your smile is real and when it's covering something up. He pays attention to when your eyes dim, even if your words don't say much. He'll ask if you're okay, not because you look off, but because he feels the shift in your presence. This kind of attentiveness doesn't come from casual interest. It comes from emotional investment. And it's not just about catching your lows. His eyes also light up when yours do. When you talk about something that excites you, he mirrors that excitement. When you laugh, his gaze softens. Not just because he finds you beautiful in that moment, but because he's present with your joy. He's in sync with your emotional rhythm. His attention moves with your energy, not just your physical appearance. That's rare. And that's real. There's something incredibly grounding about being looked at this way. It makes you feel safe, seen, and respected. You're not performing, you're not being evaluated, you're being witnessed. And in a world that so often praises appearance over depth, this kind of gaze is healing. It tells you, I'm here for what's real. I want to understand you, not just admire you. You'll notice that he doesn't just light up when you're dressed up or when you look a certain way. His gaze is consistent. Whether you're laughing in sweatpants or venting after a long day, his eyes stay with you. That's because he's tracking more than looks. He's tracking connection. It's not about catching the highlight reel. It's about staying tuned in through the full story. Sometimes his eyes will speak before his words do. You might catch him watching you in a quiet moment when you're focused or thoughtful or just being yourself. And there's no agenda behind his stare. Just presence, just quiet appreciation. And that kind of silent witnessing is a language of its own. It says, I see you, and I'm staying right here. This shift in where his attention goes, from surface to soul, isn't accidental. It's intentional, even if it's subconscious. Because when someone truly cares, their senses recalibrate. They become more aware of your emotional landscape. They learn what joy looks like on you, what tired looks like, what anxious looks like. And they don't just observe it, they respond to it. They adapt to it. They show up in ways that match what you're feeling, not just what you're presenting. That's how you know the connection is authentic, not because he says all the right things or shows up perfectly, but because he's emotionally awake when he's with you. His eyes become mirrors of empathy. And when you're with someone like that, you don't have to over-explain or over-perform. You just have to be, and he'll still see you. In the end, real intimacy starts with attention. And when a man's eyes follow your emotions instead of just your looks, he's not just interested, he's invested. When a man is genuinely into you, he doesn't just focus on how he feels about you, He starts caring deeply about how you feel around him. That shift is powerful and often overlooked. It means he's no longer thinking only about his intentions, but also about your experience. He becomes protective, not in a controlling or possessive way, but in a conscious, respectful way. He wants your experience with him to feel safe, respected, appreciated, and emotionally enriching. And that desire begins to shape how he shows up for you. You'll notice it in the little things first. He starts paying attention to how his words land. He watches your reactions, not to manipulate you, but to make sure he hasn't hurt or confused you. He doesn't want to be the reason you doubt yourself. He wants to be the one who makes you feel more secure, more valued, more like yourself. That's emotional responsibility in action. And when a man starts doing that, it means he's thinking about more than just attraction. He's thinking about impact. This kind of protectiveness doesn't mean he shields you from discomfort or treats you like you're fragile. It means he honors your emotional safety. If he makes a mistake, he doesn't brush it off. He takes accountability. He might say, I didn't mean it that way, but I see how that made you feel, and I'm sorry. That kind of response is rare. It comes from someone who isn't trying to win you, but someone who's trying to respect you. You'll also see it in how he handles conflict or emotional tension. Instead of shutting down, walking away, or escalating the situation, he pauses. He tries to understand where you're coming from. He may not always have the right words, but his intention becomes clear. He wants you to feel safe in the dynamic. He wants to be someone you can count on emotionally, even when things get uncomfortable. Being protective of your experience also means he pays attention to timing, energy, and boundaries. If he senses you're tired or overwhelmed, he doesn't push for more. If you set a boundary, he doesn't test it or try to change your mind. He honors it because your comfort matters more to him than his ego. That kind of sensitivity doesn't come from fear. It comes from genuine care. It's also in the joy. He wants to be a source of lightness in your life, not stress. He'll go out of his way to make you laugh, to check in when he doesn't have to notice when your energy shifts. He wants to be someone you look forward to, not someone you have to recover from. That kind of emotional presence speaks volumes. When a man is protective of your experience with him, he starts to think long term. Even if he hasn't said it out loud, he considers how his actions today shape your memory of him tomorrow. He doesn't just want you to like being around him. He wants you to feel good about yourself when you're with him. That's a rare kind of care, and it's the foundation of a healthy, emotionally mature connection. Because in the end, love isn't just about what someone says or does for you. It's about how they make you feel about yourself in their presence. When a man is into you for real, he doesn't just want access to your time, your body, or your affection. He wants to earn your trust. And that starts by protecting the space between you and making it a place where you feel consistently valued, understood, and safe. When a man is truly into you, one of the clearest signs isn't in the big gestures or detailed plans, it's in his presence. Plans are easy to make. They sound impressive, they check boxes, and they can be posted or talked about. But presence? That's something else entirely. It's the ability to be fully there, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. It's about quality, and a man who is emotionally invested in you will show it by the way he gives you his full attention in the smallest, quietest moments. Presence is not just about showing up on a date or sending flowers on your birthday. It's about how he makes you feel when you're together. Does he look into your eyes when you speak, or is he glancing at his phone? Does he follow your thoughts, even when they drift? Does he make space for you to be heard, not just responded to? These things don't happen by accident. They happen when someone values not just your time, but your being. He might not have a perfect calendar. He might be late sometimes. But when he's with you, he's with you. There's a slowness to the moment, a steadiness. You feel it when he puts his phone away without you asking. When he remembers something you said days ago and brings it up just to reconnect. When he chooses to share silence with you instead of rushing to fill it with entertainment or distraction. This kind of presence is rare. It's intentional, and it's deeply telling. Plans are about the future. Presence is about the now. And a man who values you emotionally doesn't just think about what comes next. He values where you are together right now. He doesn't need a perfect setting to make you feel important. It could be in the car, in the kitchen, on a walk, or during a 5-minute call in the middle of a busy day. Presence says, you matter to me in this moment, exactly as you are. He doesn't just make time for milestones. He checks in when he doesn't have to. He asks how your day was, not out of obligation, but because he genuinely wants to know. He listens without rushing to fix. He notices your energy, not just your words. When you're quiet, he leans in rather than pulling away. When you're overwhelmed, he offers calm instead of control. This kind of attention isn't performative. It's not about being impressive. It's about being real. A man who's invested emotionally wants to witness your life, not just schedule around it. And when you're with someone like that, you stop feeling like you're waiting for love to arrive in a certain form. You start feeling it in the ordinary, unpolished parts of life. That's the difference presence makes. When a man prioritizes presence, he doesn't need the perfect date night to make you feel close. His presence is the closeness. You feel safe, seen, and settled. There's no urgency to prove anything, just a quiet confidence that being with you is enough. And that's the beauty of it. Because while plans can be rescheduled, delayed, or changed, presence can only be given. It can't be faked, and it can't be substituted. When a man chooses to show up for you in the moment, when he listens, when he stays with your emotions, when he gives you his full focus, it's a sign that his heart is already in the room with you. When a man is genuinely into you, his playfulness isn't random. It's not about impressing you with jokes or showing off his sense of humor. It's purposeful, intentional, and surprisingly revealing. He uses it as a way to bridge emotional distance, to lower the tension, and to create a safe, light space where connection can unfold naturally. His teasing becomes a language, a subtle, warm expression of interest and emotional comfort. And the more he feels for you, the more playful he becomes, not to distract, but to invite you closer without pressure. This kind of playfulness isn't loud or performative. It's not about being the funniest guy in the room or dominating the conversation. Instead, it's quiet, thoughtful, and attuned. He might give you a nickname, gently tease you about something you said, or mirror your expressions in a way that makes you smile. And beneath that humor is something more serious. A deep care that doesn't know how to say, "I like you," in plain words, so it says it through warmth and laughter. You'll notice that his playfulness is emotionally safe. He never jokes in a way that makes you question yourself. He doesn't cross the line or poke at insecurities. Instead, he lifts you up. He makes you feel light, relaxed, and accepted. His teasing invites you into a dynamic where you can both be a little silly, a little vulnerable, and a lot more real. That's the purpose behind it. It's his way of telling you, you can be yourself with me. Sometimes his playfulness will show up at unexpected times, maybe when you're stressed or having a hard day. That's when it means the most. He's not minimizing what you're feeling. He's trying to bring you a moment of lightness, a breath of relief in the middle of something heavy. When a man is emotionally invested, he doesn't just want to know you. He wants to be a positive force in your life. And humor, when used with care, is a gentle way of saying, you're not alone. There's a kind of intimacy that grows in shared laughter. It breaks down walls. It creates memory. When he playfully nudges you in a conversation or smiles in that way that makes you laugh even when you don't want to, he's building something between you. That connection isn't surface level. It's chemistry, expressed through comfort. It's how people who trust each other interact when the guards are down. What makes it purposeful is that he uses it to draw you in emotionally. He's not flirting just to pass time or boost his ego. He's not trying to impress a crowd. He's focusing on you. He wants to make you laugh. He wants to see your eyes light up. He wants to be the reason you feel a little lighter that day. That kind of targeted playfulness is a clear signal his heart is involved. Playfulness with purpose is also disarming. It creates space for truth. Once you're laughing together, it's easier to open up, to share more, to feel safe. That's the hidden power of his playful behavior. It lowers defenses. It says, let's not take ourselves too seriously right now. And yet it's precisely in that not-so-serious moment that something deeply serious is being built. Connection. When a man becomes playfully present with you in this way, don't underestimate it. He's showing you his truest self, unfiltered, relaxed, and emotionally engaged. And that's a kind of intimacy that plans, promises, and perfect words can't compete with.